to the news. The world is reflecting on the need to spread knowledge on better care for animals and tackling an adverse situation like rabies. World Rabies Day is observed on September 28th annually to raise awareness about the impact of rabies on humans and animals, provide information and advice on how to prevent the disease in risk communities. It is also to support advocacy for increased efforts in rabies control. The day is also used to observe the anniversary of the death of French biologist, microbiologist and chemist Louis Pasteur, who developed the first rabies vaccine. World Rabies Day was first observed on September 28, 2007. The event was a collaboration between the Alliance for Rabies Control and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, USA, and the World Health Organization, WHO. The organization started observing this day after the world suffered from the adverse effects of rabies. The theme for World Rabies Day 2021 is Rabies, Facts, Not Fear. The aim is to share facts about rabies and dispel misinformation and myths that create fear about the disease. As the world pauses to redirect attention on rabies prevention, stakeholders are worried that Ghana may be unable to meet the 2030 deadline for the elimination of rabies in the country. Our Tema regional correspondent is at the National Commemoration at Bon and joins us live on Zoom for an update. Hello?
Hello. Hello.
Well, Michael, can you tell us what the national focus for this year's Rabies Day is?
Okay, so World Rabies Day 2021 is the theme is rabies, fact, but not fear. Over the years, with awareness that was created, people are still afraid when they hear rabies because of the death toll. And this year, I decided to let people to know the fact about rabies. And someone may ask, what are the facts? So first fact, I want everybody to know that rabies is 100% vaccine preventable. It means when we vaccinate our pets, we can prevent it in our host country. 2, rabies, as we all know, is 100% fatal. That's what a lot of people, when they do hear, get panic. But it's a fact, but it doesn't mean people should be afraid.
All right, so
we are just letting people to know that we could still prevent rabies. And what it has been agreed by all countries in the world is by 2030, we should end rabies in Ghana and all over the world. Some countries have done it. In Africa, we have some countries have also done it. In Ghana, we are not far from doing so. And there's a blueprint for us to follow. This year, rabies.
Things we are doing include digitizing and digitalizing at different stages. There are two different things. They mean two different things. When the Minister for Communications joins us, you do a full explanation. But one of the areas that we have struggled with as a republic over the decades is lands administration and the work of the Lands Commission in terms of searches and ensuring that title is properly registered and kept, etc. This afternoon, we have the privilege of being joined by the Minister responsible for lands and natural resources, Parliament for Damo, Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, and his team from the Lands Commission. And they will spend some time explaining to us some of the
those living in poor rural communities in Africa and Asia. Services. In addition, millions of dogs and other animals suffer and die due to both disease and indiscriminate culling prompted by fear of the disease. The domestic dog poses the biggest public health threat in terms of rabies. in the 21st century. Across more than 150 countries that still have rabies, 99% of all human rabies cases are as a result of an exposure to a dog with rabies. Therefore, by eliminating rabies in dogs, we can eliminate nearly all human rabies deaths globally. We are joined via Zoom, a risk communication officer at the Veterinary Services, Dr. Benjamin Kisi Sasu. Good afternoon, Doc. Doc, please, can you unmute your mic and let's have a conversation?
Hello.
Yeah, Doc, good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Doc, can you tell us what is the problem of rabies in our part of the world?
Yeah, what is the word?
What is the problem of rabies in our part of the world?
Okay, so I'll give you a few statistics. Over the years, according to World Health Organization, every year we lose 59,000 lives, human lives due to rabies, not even counting the number of animals. And when you get statistics, it means each day we are losing 144 lives. It's not low recorded. With this 59,000 lives we lost, a greater percentage, 70%, come from Africa. With Ghana, the statistics that I have, 2019, out of 41 cases that were reported to Accra Veterinary Lab, we had 25 confirmed as rabies, which forms 63.4%. That's for Greater Accra alone. Now, for that of 2020, we had 46 cases of dog bite which was reported. The dogs were seen and we took samples to test. Out of 26 came out as positive. And that is, with this, that is 36.5%. And out of these number of kids that was represented and brought to the Accra lab, 91.3% occurred in Greater Accra. This year, we are going to August. We have had 31 cases reported, and out of it, 20 confirmed as positive, 64.5. As at now, as we speak, up to August. That is so that we're having cases, dog bite cases going on. The sad thing is that a lot of people are not still reported. There are some who die, and later we get to hear of it, which is so sad. Just last month, we had a life lost in Central Region, Cape Coast. We also had last year, we had 2 lives lost in Tama area, Tama. So that's why this year's rabies are the same there. We had a lot of dogs being confirmed to be rabies in those vicinity. And the municipality this year are taking upon themselves to help. And with the support of Rabies in West Africa, Ghana, Veterinary Service, Food and Agriculture, and World Organization, they've chosen that in just the municipality alone, they want to vaccinate 6,000 dogs. Today being World Rabies Day, 2,000 dogs were vaccinated for free as we went around monitoring. A lot of people are patronized, and for those who are listening to us, should take this opportunity to do so. For people who are in other regions, who also get to the nearest veterinary center and get their dogs vaccinated. Some may have it done at their regions or places subsidized. Some may get it free. Some may have to pay for it. But looking at it, it's not expensive.
Dr. Sasu, let's take a run through some of the statistics that we have. Reported dog bite cases for 2019 from the Accra Veterinary Laboratory. We have total number of cases recorded 41, and we have positive cases 25, which is 61% of the number recorded, and negative cases 19, which is 39% of the number recorded. And so in all, we realize that we have 63.4% cases recorded in Greater Accra. So let's move to 2021, and as at August, we have total number of cases recorded, 31 positive cases, 20, which is 64.5%, and negative cases 11, that is 35.5. With these statistics that we've just said, the positive cases for 2019 was 61, but as you can see, 2021 is now 64.5%. Why the increase for the positive cases?
Yes, the truth is that last year the whole world was hit with COVID-19. So last year, the World Rabies Day awareness didn't really got an attention as over the years we have been getting. If we are going to give you statistics for the past 10 years, from 2040 to 2050, where we had the rabies campaign being so largely done and more vaccination being done, you could see that the cases were going down. But last year with COVID-19 being hit, a lot of people got to vaccinate their economic action were leaving there. And we should be aware that Ghana, we still have rabies cases around. And there's a need for everybody to vaccinate their dog. That's why in September, with the help of the media, which people have been doing so, to remind everyone to check your dog book to find out whether there is due for your dog to be vaccinated. If it's passed, just get to the nearest veterinary center and help us do good. Because when you do the cost, in terms of cost analysis, vaccinating a dog to human, when a human being gets bitten and even supposed to take the post-prophylactic treatment, it's very costly. You can get the list being around 300 to 400 Ghana cedis, whilst to vaccinate a pet is around, the cheapest is around 10 cedis. The highest we'll be getting around is 30 to 50 cedis. And when we do cost analysis, we could do so. And by research, if we're able to do 70% of all our pets, I mean dog and cat in Ghana, we're able to vaccinate them for about 5 years consistent to 10-year consistent. Ghana can be free from rabies, and we just have to control the pet that enters the country. And this is doable. Some years ago, more than 10 to 20 years ago, the country was having a free rabies vaccination for the whole country. And this is what a group like Rabies in West Africa, Ghana is also advocating for. FAO is also advocating for that. There's a need for the country to really look at it. Last year, there was a document signed about Ghana. We are trying to make sure that 2030 we do so. But let's ask ourselves, 1 year down the line, what have we done? Are we still on course? So far, what we do have from the national is document for education and creating awareness. But hoping as things go by, more awareness later. But the issue is still the vaccination.
Should it still be a problem?
Pardon?
We must vaccinate our pets, our animals. Fine, we have vaccination in process. Should we still be worried about rabies? Since we have the tools and science? To Dr. Sasu.
Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Sasu, I was asking,
yes.
I was asking that should rabies be of concern since we have the tools and science to carry out vaccination regularly? Should we still be worried about rabies?
So far, so good. A lot of private companies do import a lot of vaccines to the country. But because it's private people importing, we can't assure that we can do free vaccination unless NGOs and the country government take a bold step to import and get these vaccines to be used nationwide. But also to add, when one is get a scratch or get a bite, to save life, the person needs to get any running water very closer and wash the site and the running water for almost 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Normally we say sing ABCD if you can't, or sing a song to watch the place. They report to the nearest medical house facility. And you make sure that they are also informed veterinary service, any veterinary center to also look at the dog that gave you a scratch or gave you a bite. For them to advise whether there's a need for certain treatment to be done. Most people are children who are for a greater percentage when bitten or get a scratch do not report to their parents because of fear that we were told not to play and they did school. And we normally the death row we get are people who fall below 15 years and 15 years. So we want to encourage their children that anytime they go out, you get bitten, get a scratch, you should do a report. So necessary steps to be taken.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Sasu. Dr. Sasu is a risk communication officer at the Veterinary Services, and we've been talking about rabies. Well, let's go back to Bong and speak to our regional correspondent, Michael. We lost him before, moving on to Dr. Sasu. Michael, you're welcome back. Good afternoon, Michael. Hello, Michael. Well, we seem to have lost Michael. We'll try and establish contact with Michael and get back to our conversation on rabies. The celebration is taking place at Bong Kataman. But moving on, selected youths in the Greater Accra region have benefited from a training session seeking to build their self-esteem and equip them to focus on self-development while building their careers. This is despite the many major barriers they may face in their life's path. Breaking Through the Hedge, an annual conference, has among its major objectives to help tackle the issue of youth unemployment, a pressing global problem. Security analysts say this, to some extent, is fueling the rise in crime incidents. A report by Ofriwa Daku.
It is said that one of the most important things the youth can invest in is to develop a positive self-concept. Self-concept is an important element in overall wellness. It affects how one sees and expresses oneself and even influences decision-making. The potential for a positive self-concept lies within each of us, and this was the main highlight of the day at the Breaking Through the Hedge conference. Participants were trained on how to develop a time management plan, how to set realistic goals, take healthy risks, leverage on their strengths in order to achieve their goals, and how to exhibit positive behavioral characteristics and good leadership qualities. According to the president of Studio Women Network, Madame Doreen Oyekuma, training the youth to develop and reinforce self-esteem and resilience in them is one of the surest ways to equip them with critical life skills to succeed socially and academically.
Breaking Through the Hedge BTH conference is designed to share and teach the principle of living to your full potential, and also to enhance the development of the youth, and to provide a forum to expose them to the benefit and the importance of positive self-image, responsible conduct, and respect for self and others.
Breaking Through the Hedge conference, organized by Studio Women Network, a humanitarian body established to provide social, educational, emotional and medical support to less privileged persons in society, had the theme Created on Purpose for Purpose. For GBC News, Sofri Wadak reporting.
A three-member committee that probed the disturbances at Ejura in the Ashanti region months ago has made 10 recommendations for government's consideration. These include compensations for families whose relatives died and those who were injured during the incident. The 55-page document, which was published on Monday, September 27, specifically named 2 deceased persons and 3 others injured to benefit from the indemnification. The committee also recommended the removal of the MCE for the area and transfer of the District Police Commander of Ejura, DSP Philip Kojo Hammond. We have on Zoom the Executive Director at West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism, Mr. Mutaru Momone Mukhtar, to glean his thoughts on the committee's recommendations. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your viewers.
And thank you very much for joining us. Sir, what do you make of the 10 recommendations made by the committee?
Well, we've been looking at the recommendations since last night, and it's a 55-page document. I've glanced through it, of course, and I've come to look at the 10-point recommendations. If you have been following this incident since the work of the commission started, you would notice that the recommendations are not entirely new. They are not surprising at all, especially relating to the issues of compensation for the victims and families of the victims involved in this case. We are looking at sanctions that have been recommended by the Commission to the officers involved, including the regional minister, the security forces, and all that. But generally, the recommendations are very, very general. And I would have loved to see some specific or specificity in terms of the recommendations. The only recommendation that looks very specific is point number 9, that talks about the use of technology, body cameras for security officers. It's to help in terms of intelligence gathering and information when something like this happens. And it's so important because if you look at the document itself, the report itself, there are instances where the commission itself, took over the role of determining whether the witness accounts of some of the events were true or not. And we saw how they discounted and dismissed the accounts of the widow of Kaka and other witnesses, especially those who presented the video evidence. If we had body cameras, some of these incidents, especially the information that we gather in the aftermath of incidents like this, it would be very, very helpful in dealing with it. And I see the recommendation relating to the military officers. The report itself, significantly showed the role the military played in terms of their role in causing, the death of the individuals involved after Kaka is dead. And that in itself, is damaging to the role of the military. And so I would have expected them to recommend specifically what deterrent measures should be meted out to them. But you saw the committee recommending that the armed forces or the military should have a review of the role of the military officers and prescribe sanctions. Sanctions in this case could mean just spending 2 days or 3 days in a guard room at Bremer camp, or just then taking 2 or 3 days salary of, days of salary of their salary. And that, for me, obviously, doesn't look deterrent enough. The committee is very silent on the issue of the employee of military, civilian or policing functions, which has become a big issue in the last 3-4 years in this country. And I would have expected to see them speak to the issues, especially make recommendations. But going forward, these are our recommendations regarding the role of the military in dealing with pure civilian functions or civilian roles. As experts will tell you, the primary function of the military is to shoot, to kill, and not miss. And so if you have military deployed to deal with civilians, you should not be surprised when there are injuries or fatalities involved. And so we have to be very, very sparing. They have to be involved sparingly in dealing with civilian situations.
All right, Mr. Mukhtar, out of the 10-point recommendation, we have a points which talk about adequate compensation for the victims. What kind of compensation would you recommend as adequate enough?
In terms of the compensations, I don't have any parameters in terms of looking at what compensation should be given to them. It will be dependent on what harm. What harm are we looking to cure or restore, or damage what we're looking to restore? Even that, there's an issue or there's a problem I have with the recommendations. The committee reached a conclusion that I even think was outside the mandate of the commission. They went as far as determining who must have killed Kaka. And the committee seemed to suggest or come to the conclusion that Kaka was not killed by his activism. He was killed by his own family members. And if that is true, then it is ridiculous to expect the government of Ghana to use the taxpayers' money to pay somebody or pay the family of somebody who's been killed by his own family. Are we paying the family for killing their own family member? And so these are very, important issues we have to look at. I think we have largely reduced the work of commissions or committees that involve issues of fatalities and injuries to paying compensations. We have deep-based life, to the extent that compensations seem to be, the very, very primary resort to dealing with this case. And we have to relook at it.
Well, Mr. Mukhtar, there is this point that the committee also recommended the removal of the MCE of the area and also the district police commander, DSP Philip Kojo Hammond. In your view, did they err in their duties to warrant such a removal and transfer?
One, the recommendation for the removal of the municipal chief executive is new. It's unnecessary, it's irrelevant. Because even before the committee concluded its work, the MCE had already declined to serve as an MCE for the area. And so he wasn't an MCE at the time this committee's report was being presented. So there was no need to actually recommend that it should be removed. He is not even there in the first place to be removed. You're talking about the district police commander.
Police commander, yeah.
Where is the role of the regional police commander? What is the role of the regional minister? The minister who seemed to have, owned up, declaring that he boldly, sanctioned this operation. When we know that the role of the Municipal Regional Security Council is largely an advisory role, he cannot and should not order operations like this. He's supposed to consult the regional security leadership, recommend to them ABC. They are involved in operational details of things like this. And for him to, for the committee to recommend, the sanction or transfer of the district commander, it is just scapegoating. And I don't think these are the people, the key actors involved when it comes to, giving out deterrent measures for the government.
All right, thank you very much, sir, for your time. And Mr. Mutare Momone Mukhtar is the Executive Director at the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism. The Center for Local Governance Advocacy, CLGA, has called on the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, to withdraw any metropolitan, municipal and district chief executive nominee who fails to garner the 2/3 majority of votes cast by assembly members after a second round of voting and present a new candidate for consideration. It said the withdrawal of such nominees would give the General Assembly the opportunity of exercising their right to get another qualified persons as MMDCE.
In a statement, the acting executive director of CLGA, Dr. Vladimir Entry-Danso, said the move will prevent the imposition of unpopular and incompetent persons on the assembly. He further called on the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development to review the 2019 model standing orders for MMDAs to prevent unpopular nominees from becoming MMDCEs. The provisions of Part 3 of the revised Module Standing Orders 2019 allows the President to nominate or re-nominate a candidate as many times as he wishes if the candidate fails to pull the required 2/3 majority of votes cast by assembly members. The CLGA, however, said it was of the belief that the provision had the potential of imposing unpopular and seemingly incompetent persons as MMDCEs on the respective assemblies. It also gives the General Assembly little or no option to choose a popular and a competent person, and thus has the potential of undermining popular participation in governance and local democracy, the statement added. It observed that democracy is about making choices, so any limits placed on the General Assembly by the power to re-nominate a failed candidate as many times as the President wishes could undermine the power of Assembly members to freely choose competent and popular leaders for the Assembly. The Centre has therefore urged Assembly members to bear in mind that they are only exercising delegated powers from the electorate during the confirmation of nominated MMDCEs. Hence, they must do away with selfish interests. It stressed that the process for approving nominees makes the General Assembly an electoral college and must therefore be exercised with due care, devoid of partisan and unnecessary influence. While congratulating the MMDCE nominees on their nomination, it urged those who failed to poll the needed votes to accept the situation in good faith. Dr. Vladimir Entry-Danso urged all unsuccessful nominees to extend an olive branch to the nominated MMDCEs in order to promote peace and facilitate development at the local level. They are also advised to prevail upon their followers to eschew agitations and acts that will disturb the peace of the country.
Road construction might not be the direct responsibility of MCEs and the assemblies, but that is not stopping most people from saying tackling the road network should be the focus for the renominated MCE for Tano South, Hollins Techi. This came to light when GBC News interacted with some residents of Bichim, the Tano South district capital, and the MCE nominee. John Sam Arthur has come through with this report.
Region where we are currently, only 1 out of the 6 MCEs was changed. All the other 5 were retained. One of them is Collins Ofinam Tichi, the Municipal Chief Executive for Bichim. So today we are here in Bichim trying to find out how the people and then the MC himself sees this development. Are they happy with it? And what do they think should be the focus of his second administration?
Everything they need is with you, and when they are not getting what they need, the perception is that you are denying them their right. You are denying them what they have to get. So the lesson I've learned is to let them know of course there are certain, by the nature of the work and the oaths, various oaths that you swear, it is not everything that you will make them available, every information you can make them available to the public, but certain things I have to find a way of letting them know.
He has done it before. Even if he made a mistake somewhere, he can recollect himself and things can move on smoothly than bringing someone who hasn't been even to the office before and hasn't got the experience. For me, I always depend on experience. They say experience is the best.
Omunya jini tuma srani so bebo akuru na makuru na titiri ya kwan tachimantia bechem tachimantia road no yeso omo ya kosi akoma ene ye bompa ye titiri pa se ombe.
As the world commits to reduce global warming to 1.5 degrees, environmentalists say the dedication of individual states to achieving this global pledge is key. In Ghana, adaptation of best land use, forestry and mining practices are to help accelerate the country's climate action, but the scarce in the phase is galamsey or illegal mining. The UK says it will assist Ghana with particular focus on adaptation and resilience for a common goal. Clara Mlano reports.
It's been a global movement calling for more allegiance to their efforts to clean up the air for a healthier environment. They caution that as climate change worsens, dangerous weather events are becoming more dangerous and frequent. However, human-induced actions, either voluntarily or involuntarily, continue to make the dwelling place of man, the earth, burn and hotter each day. So is the rise in pollution. And this ends July 2021 as the world's hottest month ever. As the date to the 2021 United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP26, draws closer, the environmentalists are wondering whether the big guns will commit to limiting temperatures. The UK's High Commissioner to Ghana, Ms. Harriet Thompson, said the UK is devoted to supporting Ghana to improve on developments in the land, forestry and mine sectors and deal particularly with matters relating to climate change.
So we're looking forward to a really strong set of nationally determined contributions being put forward. We're looking forward to seeing what Ghana's new NDC has to say. We are encouraging countries across the world also to come good on their commitment to climate finance.
Already, the UK is supporting Ghana to flush out all illegalities in the timber industry, leading to an enhanced international timber trade and sustainable forest management. Lands and Natural Resources Minister Mr. Samuel Jinapor welcomed this partnership to help in the fight against the effects of climate change.
Sure, even in your short stay in Ghana, you may have come across and become familiar with the terminology galamsey, which is illegal small-scale mining, which causes a lot of deforestation, and the impact it has on climate change and all of that are matters that are of prime concern to us. And so we're working on coming to grips with.
This is the first courtesy call by the UK's High Commissioner to Ghana on the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC News and GTV. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with the business segment. Please stay on.